Welcome back, guys. So in our last one, what we did was we were able to create our blog post. As you can see here, upon clicking read more, you're able to be directed to the blog post itself so you can read the blog post. Now that part we haven't worked on yet. That's what we're going to be working on now. If you go ahead and click read more now, you're going to be directed to the login page since we're not logged in. So what we want to do as of this moment is we want to create a route that when we hit read more, we can be directed to that route and we can read and also comment on the post that we read. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So before we log in, let's go ahead and set up our IDE for that portion of the project and we can start coding. So within our IDE, we want to come over to our API over here, our API folder. And what we want to do is we want to create a new folder. And this folder is going to be called, actually, it's not going to be within our API folder. It's going to be within our app folder. We're going to create a new folder, and this folder is going to be called blog. And then within blog, we're going to create another folder, and this folder is going to be called slug. So this is going to be called slug. And then within slug, we're going to create a new file, and this file is going to be called page.js. Awesome. So that's all we need to do. So now within page.js, what we want to do is we want to get the blog data. So the way we go about that is by stating async function get data. We can say get blog data. So get blog data, and this is going to be a function. And so here we're going to pass in the slug here, and you're going to see what that's doing in a second. So here we're going to say const query is equal to, and what we want to do is we want to come back to our not hero blog data. We want to come back to our API here, and not the API. We want to come over to where is our let's see, hero data. Yep. So we want to come over to hero data.jsx. So we want to come over to hero data.jsx, and here we want to copy this query. So we want to take this whole query, copy it, and then we can just close out of that, and we want to paste it in here. So let's minimize this a bit. So when we do that, what we're going to do is just we want to add to the query. So here it's going to say type is equal to post, and we're also going to say slug.current is equal to and we're going to use backticks here, and here we're going to say it's going to be slug. So let's see, why is this not working? Let's see. Okay, so it's not going to be backticks since we use backticks over here. So we're not going to be using backticks over here because we use backticks here. So we can just use regular singular quotations over here. So what we want to do now is we could leave everything as is. What we're just going to do is we're going to add 0. We're going to add 0 here because we want the first item within the array. So we could just do that, and then we can go ahead and save it. So what we want to do now is we want to come down here. We can go ahead and close out of this. So we want to come down here and we want to state const data is equal to await client dot fetch, and we're fetching query. Awesome. And now we want to return data. Great. Now before we go any further, what we want to do is, so let's make sure that's fine. So let's do this. So this shouldn't be required because we're not using that syntax. So what we want to do is we're going to state client from at. So let's just take this require. Let's just take this. So this should work perfectly. So what we want to do is we want to come down here and we want to go ahead and validate the date and time. So remember in our last video, we were able to set up a function that will change the time and date from the format it's in within Sanity Studio to a regular or a standard time and date format. So what we want to do is we're going to say const format date to local time is equal to date string. So it's going to be an arrow function, and we're going to say if there is no date string. So if there's no date string, then so this should say date, not data. So date string, and this should say date string. Then we want to state return invalid date. Else we want to state const data is equal to new date, date string, if is nan, then, so if it's not a number, then date dot get, so it should be date, so this should be date dot get time. And since it's not a number, we're going to return invalid date. And now we want to come down here and we're going to state const options is equal to, and we're going to say month is going to be long. We're going to state day is going to be numeric. We're going to say year is going to be numeric. Hour is going to be numeric, as well as minute numeric. Hour 12, so we want hour 12 to be true. So this is the format we want it in. So now we want to return new dot date time format, and this is going to be English US options dot format date. So this shouldn't look foreign to you guys. We did this in the last video in order to get the proper date time format. So this is what we're doing again here. So now what we want to do is, so we're done with this part. So what we want to do now is we want to export default async function. So async function, and this is going to be selected blog. Awesome. And within here, we want to pass in params as the argument. And you'll see what that's doing in a second. So here we're going to say const data is equal to await get data, and this is going to be params.slug. Awesome. So this is what it's going to look like in order to get our data. And remember, this is a server component, so that's why we're able to do this. That's why we're able to fetch this data in this manner. So now we can come back down, and what we want to do is, since this is a server component within Next.js, we can still also go ahead and write out our return statement that's going to include our div and everything that's going to show on our page. So before we do that, we want to go ahead and log in. So here, for example, if I click read more, it's going to ask me to log in. So we want to go ahead and either create an account or just log in. So we can go ahead and actually just create a new account. So we can say create new. This is going to be test 123. Last name is test. And then for email address, you're going to have to go in and select an email address, and you'll be able to create an account. So let's go ahead and do that. So after doing that, if we go over to the nav bar here, as you can see, we're logged in. It says hi test 123. There's nothing saved, and you can see it says log out. So if we scroll back down, if we come over to you can see we have the little we have the save hearts here for us to save. But what we want to do now is, if we click read more, we should be taken to a page. There we go. As you can see, we can't really read anything because it says undefined. So it says error, cannot read properties of undefined read and fetch. So here this does not work, so it says .fetch is not working, so that's fine. Let's go over to our let's go over to our IDE. You can see that we have client.fetch here, and it's taking an and it's fetching the query. So now we have nothing that's being fetched, so that's why we're getting that error. There's nothing to be fetched. So what we want to do is we want to create this route that's gonna, so we want to create this we want to create a route that, let's go back, that when we hit read more, we're able to see something on the page. So let's go over back to Visual Studio Code, and we can go ahead and return our we can create a return statement for this selected blog function. So for our return here, we want to state return, and here we're going to state let's do this, and here it's going to be a div. And for this div, let's close this div up as well. Awesome. So for here, let's go ahead and say class name is going to be with full. We're going to say min height of screen. We're going to say padding top is going to be 9 view height. So let's give it a 9 view height. We're going to state dark is going to be background gray. And this is going to be 900. And this is going to be text gray of 900 as well. And we're going to say dark text gray of 100. So now we can come over to Chrome and let's see what we get. So let's minimize this a bit. So let's minimize this to this level, and let's minimize this up until here. Let's take this, minimize it some more. Awesome. So now if we go ahead and click read more again, what do we get? So we still get this .fetch is so we still get this await client.fetch error. So it's saying cannot read properties of undefined read and fetch. So let's do this. So let's go ahead and continue with this. So we have this, and then we're gonna have let's go ahead and within here, we're gonna have this div as well. And this div is gonna be class name container. This is gonna be MX auto. We're gonna have PX of 4. Dark, we're gonna have pros, and this is gonna be invert. We're also gonna have max width of 4XL, and this is gonna be margin X of auto. So let's make sure, so container, margin X auto, PX of 4. So here we should have this as large is going to be padding X of 8, and then we have padding Y of 12. So this is still going to stay as such, but as we go on, you'll see it change. So here, after this div, we're going to have an article. So for article, we're going to have class name. This is going to be pros. This is going to be pros XL. And then we're going to have dark pros invert. And this is going to be max width 4XL. And then margin X of auto. Awesome. And then within the article, we're going to have a header. And the header, the class name here is going to be text center. And then we're going to have margin bottom of 12. And then within the header, we're going to have H1, class name, text 5XL. And then we're going to have font extra bold. And we're going to have lead-in is tight. And then within this, now we're going to have data.title. So now let's see if, okay, so it's still saying we have this fetch error. So let's see why. Cannot read properties of undefined fetch. And that is because of what actually? So let's see. So let's go ahead up here in console log data. And actually, let's just come over here in console.log data. And let's see what we get. So if we go over to, let's go back to just this, and let's clear this out, and let's hit read more here. So for some reason we still can't fetch the data, so it's saying .fetch is undefined. So let's see. So let's go ahead and just take this out and save, and then let's see, let's go ahead and redo this part. So let's comment this out, and we can say const data is equal to await client, so .fetch query. So let's see if this works now. There we go. So the problem was just how we fetched this. So if you remember, when we fetched it, when we imported client, we had another method of importing it that used require instead of this method. So we probably just didn't import it correctly. So now that we have this, so we can just take this part out, and we're going to be using this import instead. And then down here, you can see the data is returned when we from when we console log data. So that's all we have to do. So we just have to debug pretty fast. So all this still works. So as you can see, data.title shows that data. So if we go back to blog, if we click on what's the next one? If we click on returnal and we click read more, as you can see, returnal works just fine. So we can stay with returnal, or let's just stay with returnal. It doesn't really matter. Actually, let's go back to Animal Crossing. So let's do that. Awesome. So we have data.title here. And then what we want to do is, after data.title, we can go ahead and create the time. So we can say p tag, and here we're going to say p class name, and p class name is going to be text small. Here we're going to say text gray 600. We're going to say dark text gray 400, and we're going to say margin top of 2. And let's save that, and then let's go ahead and make it look better, and let's wrap it. Awesome. So here within this, now we can go ahead and state format date to local time, and this is going to be date data.date created. Awesome. And then here we can go ahead and add the data.author. So we can go ahead and do this and then state data.author, and then go ahead and save that. So as you can see, it shows you the date that it was created, at what time, and who the author is. So that's all this is doing. So what we want to do after that is we want to state the data.description. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and here we're going to add another p tag, and here it's going to be p class name as well. So p class name, and we're going to state margin top of 6. We want text XL. We want text gray 700, and we're going to say dark is going to be text gray 300, and a max width here is going to be 3XL. We're going to say margin X of auto, and here we're going to have that description poured in. So we're going to say data.description, and we're going to save that. As you can see, we have the description rendered on the screen. So that's going to be it for the header. Now we can go ahead and import that image. So right below header within the article still, we're going to say data.mainimage URL. Then, so if we have the main image URL, then we want div class name, and this is going to be, so let's do this first. Okay, so, this should not be curly braces, it should be parentheses. There we go. Now we can have div. Awesome. And then within the div, we're going to have class name, and this is going to be relative, and this is going to be width full. Height is going to be 500 pixels. We're going to have large height of 500 pixels as well. Actually, we're going to have large height of 600 pixels. And then we're going to say margin bottom of 12, overflow is hidden. And we're going to say rounded large, and shadow is going to be large. Awesome. So as you can see, we have that shadow showing currently. So this is the shadow. Now what we want to do is want to come down over here and we want to say image. So we're going to be importing image from next image, and we're going to say key is going to be data._id. We're going to have ID is going to be data._id. And source here is going to be data.main image URL. Alt is going to be data.slug. And we're going to have layout be full, or fill, sorry. So layout's going to be fill. And then object fit is going to be cover. We're going to have priority. This is going to be true. And then class name here is going to be rounded large. So we go ahead and just close that out, and then we can use prettier to lint and save. And that's it. So as you can see, we have our image here, and what we want to do now is we want to give it an overlay. So we're going to come down here and we're going to create a div class name here, and this is going to be absolute. This is going to be inset 0. We're going to say background black. This is going to be background opacity, and this is going to be 30. Awesome. And then there you go. And it gives it just that little dark overlay. So that's it for the image portion. And now we want to come down and add the text. So we want to scroll down to after this parentheses and closing bracket, this closing curly brace over here. And then we want to come down, and here we're going to say div class name. We're going to say pros, and then we're going to say pros XL, and we're going to say dark is pros, invert, margin X is going to be auto, max is going to be with none. We're going to say space is going to be Y, so space Y 6. Awesome. We're going to have portable text. So portable text, and this is going to be value, and this is going to be data.content. And then we can go ahead and just close this tag here, and that's it. So if we scroll down, that's all the content for Animal Crossing, and that's it. So now what we want to do is we've just created our blog post link. So if we go back to blog, awesome, let's open this up. If we go back to blog and we click on, let's say Returnal, and say read more, as you can see, this is there. So we can see that Returnal is showing, the blog post is showing. We go back to blog and let's pick something else. Let's go to Gears 5 and read more, and everything shows also. So this is working perfectly. Let's go back to blog, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So now what we want to do is we want to be able to add comments. So let's go to Ratchet and Clink. So if you go, okay, so this breaks for some reason. So cannot read properties null, read in title. Okay, so in order to avoid this, I don't know why it's doing that, but let's go ahead and place question marks here right after data. So we're going to say data dot, and then just place question marks here, so it's optional chaining. So let's do this, so that way we avoid any breakage. So that should be it. So do we have anything else? Let's see. Nope, that's it. Okay, let's go ahead and save. So let's see, why is this not working? So let's go back to blog, and let's try this one. So this works. So this must be something wrong with, yeah, so there's something wrong with our data within Sanity Studio. That's the only reason I can think of, because everything else works. So within Sanity Studio, we probably saved this wrong, is the only thing I can think of, because I can't understand why that wouldn't be working. But we can figure that out later. Let's go to page 2 and see if everything else works. Yeah, so that has to be, that most likely comes from Sanity Studio, how we saved it. But we can figure that out later. Everything else works, so we can come back to that. So if we go to Returnal, for example, at the bottom here, as you can see, there's no capability of adding comments. That's what we want to work on right now. So if we go back to blog and we go back to our IDE, so now we can make this bigger. We want to give it a comment section. So we want to be able to add comments to our blog post. So that's what we're going to be working on right now. So to create the comment section, what we want to do first is let's close out of this. And what we want to do is create the backend API for the comment section. So within API, what we want to do is we want to create a new folder. And this folder is going to be called post comments. And then within post comments, we're going to have routes.js. So routes.js. We can go ahead and close this. And this is going to be our back end for the post comments. So what we're going to do is we're going to import, and this is going to be get Kindi server session. And let's just make sure we take out dist in types and just make sure it's just server. Awesome. And then what we want to do is we're going to import next response. So import next response, because we're going to be using that. So what we want to do now is let's come down here and we're going to state export async function. And this is going to be post. So it's a post request, and we're going to pass in a request there. And here we're going to say const. We're going to be getting the post ID, the content, and the parent ID, all from the so we're going to say all from the front end. So this is going to be await request.json, and that's it. And now we want to get the user, so we're going to say const get user, and this is going to be equal to get Kindi server session, and we're going to pass in that request in there as well. So we're also going to get the user, so const user is equal to await, and we're going to use that get user. Awesome. And the reason we're using get user is because you're not going to be able to post a comment if you're not logged in. So this goes with the, you have to be logged in order to read the blog post as well as make a comment. So if we go down, we want to make sure that that is clear. And the way we do that is we say if there is no user, then we want to return next response.json. And this is going to say message unauthorized. And then this is also going to say status 401. Awesome. So if there is a user, then we can do a try catch. And here we're going to state let existing user. And this is going to be await Prisma. So I guess we need to import Prisma right now. So the way we go about that is, so first let's go ahead and open up Supabase. So let's go to Google Chrome, and then we're just going to go over to Google, and here we're going to go over to Supabase. So Supabase, and we're just going to go into it, and here it should ask you to start your project or sign in. So I already have an account, so I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. So I'm going to put in my credentials, and then we're going to go ahead and sign in. All right, so as you can see, I already have a project up. That's my original project. So what we want to do is we want to just start a new project and choose an organization. So it'll show you organization name, project name. So the project name here, we're just going to call it blog. We're going to call it blog YouTube. Let's see if that works. And then database password. So let's just generate a password, and that's fine. So let's copy this to make sure we have it, and then we can go ahead and just create new project. So let's see if this creates. As you can see, you can rename the project later. So let's go ahead and just, we can close out of this. We don't need to save it. So we have the API keys here. As you can see, everything is pretty much, it's blurred out, not blurred out, but you can't really see the secret key or the JWT secret. So you can't really see any of this. But what we can do is we can go ahead and go into our API, into our .env, and place this within our .env so that we can connect to our Supabase database. So what we want to do first is let's go ahead and open up a new terminal here, and let's cd into our app. And then what we want to do is we want to paste this in npm install Prisma @prisma/client. So we want to run that, and it's going to install Prisma within our dependency. So we're going to have Prisma within our application. So once we do that, then we can go ahead and just clear this out. And what we want to do next is we're going to say npx Prisma init. So we're going to do this, and let's see. Your Prisma was created at Prisma/schema.prisma. You can now open it. You already have a git ignore file. Don't forget to add .env into it. Awesome. So let's go over here and let's see. Do we have that within it? So let's see. Can we find Prisma here at all? There we go. So Prisma's up here. So we can find Prisma up here. As you can see, we have Prisma right here. So we have this Prisma initialized within our application. So within our .env here, you can see that this says this was inserted by Prisma init. And then we have a database URL. So we're just gonna, here it gives us boilerplate PostgreSQL, John Doe, random password at localhost 5432. We're gonna be changing all this, but this is within this. So what we wanna make sure is within git ignore. So let's go ahead to git ignore. Let's make sure .env is within your git ignore file, not just .env.local. You wanna also make sure .env is within git ignore. So mine's already in there. We can go ahead and just double save that. Make sure it's in there properly, and then we can just go ahead and close it. So now we can head back over to Prisma here, and we can open up Prisma. Here it says Postgres URL is the provider. The URL is env database URL, and then we have to add one more. And so here we're going to say direct URL is going to be env. This is going to be direct URL. Awesome. We go ahead and save that. And here, below here is where we're going to create our model, or our model. Sorry. So we're going to create our model here, our schema model down here. But before we do that, let's go over to our Supabase over here. So our project, and let's see. Let's go ahead to connect. As you can see, it tells you, it gives you the URL here, the URI, in order to connect. So we can just go ahead and copy this and then just paste it within our .env. So if we go over here and open up .env, so let's go over to .env. As you can see, we have database URL over here. So what we want to do is we want to take this and just take it out. Awesome. And we want to paste this in. So this is way longer, but this is what we want. As you can see, here it gives us a bunch of stuff, and then it says your password. So you're going to be inputting your password in here, and the password is what you have within your project for Supabase. So we're going to do that, and then we also want to get the direct URL as well. So now that we have our database URL, what we want to do is we also want to do get our direct URL. So direct URL, and this is going to be we also get this from the same place we get the database URL. So the way you know the difference is the database URL ends in 6543, and the direct URL should end in 5432 /Postgres. So if we come back over to our project, let's go over to, let's say, project settings. There we go, project settings. Here, if we go over to, let's see, scroll down. We go over to database. There we go. As you can see, this says mode transaction. This is what we used for the database URL because it says 6543. So if we go over to session mode, you can see this ends in 5432/Postgres. We just want to copy that, and then we want to go over to let's come back to our IDE, and we just want to paste that within it and save it. So the last thing here says your password. So we want to change that to our actual password, and the way we do that is we go back to our we come back to our database setting, and let's see if we're able to get the password. So let's see. Okay, so I don't remember the password, but we can reset it. Let's just generate a password, and then we can copy that and reset password. Let's see. Awesome. So it says successfully updated database password. Cool. So we're all done. So now what we want to do is we want to come back to our Visual Studio, and we want to take this out. Awesome. And we want to take this out as well. And it's going to be the same password for both of them, and we can go ahead and save that. And then we want to plug in our password, and because it's a security hazard to show the password, so you don't want to show people your password, I'm going to do that off screen, and then I'll just meet you back at the schema.prisma file. So before I actually forget, before we go ahead and plug in that password in there, what we want to do is let's go over to Google, and let's go over to google.com, and we're going to say Prisma Supabase Supabase best practices. And then here you're going to come over to the first one that says Prisma works with Supabase, and you want to go through this. This is great to read in order if you're just starting out with Prisma, or if you just want a refresher. But what we want here is how to get the connection string from Supabase project. So here, although we're technically all done, we want to use this transaction and transition. So since we're using transaction and session mode here, it's going to tell us that for the transaction mode, we need to append this PG bouncer is equal to true and connection limit is equal to 1. So what it does is PG bouncer disables Prisma for generating prepared statements, and the connection limit is equal to 1 parameter is only required if we're using Prisma from a serverless environment, which we're doing. So what we want to do is we just want to grab this and copy it. So that's all we need to grab and copy, and we're all done. So we go ahead and just close out of this, and then come back to our IDE, and we only want to plug it in for the database URL, as that's the transaction one. So we're just going to append it here and save it, and that's all we have to do. Now let's do this. So that's all we have to do. Now we can go ahead right over here and plug in our password. So after doing that and implementing the password into our URL or URI, what we want to do is we want to come over to schema.prisma, and we want to come down here, and let's go to like 20, and we want to create the schema for our comment. So we're going to say model comment, and here we're going to state ID is going to be string, and it's going to be at ID, and this is going to be default, and this is going to be, well, at default, and this is going to be UUID. Awesome. And then we want to come down here, and we're going to state content, and content is going to be string as well. And for string, we're going to say, yeah, we'll just keep it as content and string, and then we're going to do post ID, and this is going to be string as well. We're going to state user ID is going to be string as well. We're going to say parent ID, and this is going to be string. Let's put a question mark. So we're going to put a question mark there just in case we don't have it. So that way we don't have an error thrown. So we don't always have a parent ID. So we're just going to put a question mark there. And then we're going to say parent here. And parent is going to be comment. So it's going to be comment and then question mark. So let's see what's wrong here. So let's hover on this. This line is not a valid field or attribute definition. I think we have one too many parentheses there. There we go. So here, now we can come back here and put parent, and parent here will be comment, and then question mark, and then here we'll make a relation. So at relation, and this is going to be we're going to have something called comment to replies, and then we're going to have fields, and here we're going to have fields be parent ID, and we're going to have it references. So references here is going to be ID. So all this is going to make sense in a second. So replies is going to be comment, and we're going to have an array here, and then this is going to be at relation, and relation here is going to be comment to replies. Awesome. And then we want to say created at, and this is going to be dates time, and at default, and this is going to be now, and this is going to be updated at, and this is going to be dates time, and this is going to be at updated at. And now we want to make a relation to the user model, so we're going to create a user model here. So we're going to say model user, and here we're going to give it an ID of string, and this is going to be at ID at default, and it's going to be a UUID, and then we're going to say given name, and this is going to be string, and we're going to say picture, this is going to be string, we're going to say email, this is also going to be string. Actually, that's in case we don't have an email, so we're just going to put a question mark there, and this is going to be at unique, and then comments, this here is going to be comment, an array at relation to user to comments. Awesome. So what's the problem here? So actually, so back in model comment, let's scroll down here, and we're going to say user is going to be user, since we have a user model now, and this is going to be relation, and this is going to be user to comments, and this is going to be fields, and fields is going to be user ID. We're going to say references, and this is going to be ID. Awesome. So we shouldn't have any errors anymore. So this is the whole thing, and this is our model. So what does this model mean? So that's what we're going to explain in a second. So within our model, we have, well, within our schema, we have two models. We have the comment model here, and we have the user model. So line by line, what are we doing? So within our comment model, we have the ID. So every comment will get a unique ID, and it's automatically generated using a UUID, which just means universally unique identifier. And then for content, this is the actual text or the content of the comment. So whatever is typed in, like the content of the comment, whatever you type in is considered the content, and it's going to be stored as a string. The post ID is also a string. So it's an ID of the post the comment is associated with. So for example, if you have a blog post or an article, that is the ID of that post that the comment is associated with. So for example, if you have a post regarding, let's say a blog post regarding PlayStation, the ID of that post is considered the post ID. So it's the ID of the post that the comment is associated with. And then we have the user ID. So that's also a string. So this is the ID of the user that made the comment. So we're linking that comment to the user model. So the user ID is the ID of the user who made the comment, and it's going to be linked. So because of that, because it's the ID of the user who made the comment, it's linking that comment to the user model in a sense. So the parent ID. So the parent ID is a string, and it's optional, hence the question mark. So here it's optional, and it stores the ID of the parent comment. So if the current comment is a reply to another comment, meaning, let's say for example you're on YouTube and you start a comment, so you post in a comment and someone responds to that comment. The original comment is considered the parent comment, so that's going to have a parent ID associated to it. So if the comment is not a reply, then it's just empty. So if there's no reply to it, then the parent ID is empty because it needs to have a response for it to be a parent ID. So if there's no response, let's say you comment, "This is a great video," and no one responds to it, no one replies to your comment, then it just stays as a comment, a regular comment. But if someone agrees and says, "For sure, this is a great video," then now your original comment is considered a parent comment and it will have a parent ID associated to it. So the next one is a parent comment, and it says at relation, comment to replies, fields is parent ID, references is ID. What this does is this defines the relationship between a comment and its parent comment. So a comment can be a reply to another comment, which is the parent comment. So it's just showing you the relationship between a comment and its parent comment. That's all it's doing. And then we have replies comment at relation, comment to replies. So the comment has an array there. So here we're defining the relationship where a comment can have multiple replies other than the comments linked to it. So for example, like I said, if you have a comment, multiple people can respond to that comment. So that's all this is saying. It's defining the relationship where a comment can have multiple replies other than the comments that's linked to it. And then we have created date time at default now. And all that's doing is it's creating a timestamp when the comment was created. So it's automatically setting it to the current time when the comment is added. So if you're familiar with MongoDB, because I use MongoDB a lot during my earlier videos, basically it's doing the same thing that MongoDB does when you ask it to timestamp. So when you say timestamp true, it's doing basically the same thing. It's creating a timestamp. And then updated at date time. So this is the timestamp when the comment was last updated. So for example, if you make an edit or whatever, it automatically updates to when that change was made. And then here, the last one, we have user at relation, user to comments, fields, user ID, references ID. So what we're doing here is we're now establishing a connection between the comment and the user that posted it. So the user ID will link it to the user. So that's all this is doing. And now we have the model user. So for the model user, we have ID string at default UUID. Here, it's just saying each user has a unique ID that's automatically generated, just like we had in model comment. And then we're gonna have given name is string. So for these should look a little familiar, because when we have when we console log the data we get from Kindy's session for the get user, when you get the user, you have the fields such as given name, the picture, the email, and a plethora of other data that's coming back. We just want to grab the data that corresponds to the given name, the picture, and the email. So that's all we're doing. So the given name is typically their first name, picture, we have it as a string, and then the email, and that's it. So this is the model that we're going to be using to create our tables within Supabase database. So now that we have this, what we want to do is now we want to push this to Prisma. So the way we go about it is via a command that we use in the terminal. So let's clear this out, and we're going to say, so in order to push that database, what we're going to say is npx Prisma database push. So npx Prisma DB push. and then we're just going to hit enter, and as long as there's no error, it should automatically push into it. There we go. So it says your database is now in sync with your Prisma schema, and it's generated a Prisma client. So we go ahead and clear out of this, so we don't really need this anymore. We can close this part of the terminal out. And now if we come back to our Supabase here, so okay, let's come over to database here. And if you go to database, as you can see, now we have comment and we have user, and there's no description, and there's nothing within it. And as you can see, this is still within blog YouTube, and there's no comment, there's no user. I mean, there's the name. So within blog YouTube project, so blog YouTube, we have a name of comment and user, and this is within schema public. There's for the description, there's no description, and there's nothing within it. So the rows right now is 0 and 0. There's nothing within it. So that's pretty much all we're doing here. And now we can go ahead and just close this for right now. We can close that also, and we can just open up our IDE. So that's all we needed there. So now we can close out this schema.prisma file, so we can close this out. We don't need it anymore, so we're all done with it. And then we can just close it out. And then we can come back to post comments, and then let's minimize this. So we can come back here to our post comments, since we already created Prisma, and finish out right now our logic. So here we have prisma.user.findUnique, and as you can see, we're importing Prisma from @Prisma client. So we don't want to import Prisma from Prisma client. What we want to do instead is, let's go over to Google. So let's go over to Google, and let's type in Prisma Next.js best practices, and here you go. So at the very top here, you should have best practice for initiating Prisma client with Next.js. If you click on that, you can scroll down here, and you will see that there's a portion that says solution. There's a part that says solution. Just like it says here, we create a file called db.ts. So let's just copy this. This is all we need. We can close out of this. We can just open our IDE. And here we're going to create a library. So here we're going to create a lib file. So it's going to be lib. Awesome. And then here within it, we're going to create the db.ts. So it's going to be db.ts. And we can just paste this in here and save it. So once we're done with that, we go ahead and just close out of this. So now it's already been saved. So what we want to do is, let's go ahead and do this over again. So let's just take this part out, and now we can state, in order to check if the user exists within the database, we can state Prisma, await Prisma, and this is coming from import Prisma from lib/db. So we can take this one out, save that, and we can come back here. So it will be Prisma .user.create. Awesome. And here we're just going to keep it as where ID, user ID. Awesome. So now we can come down here to state if the user doesn't exist, we need to create a new user. So here we're going to say if there is no existing user, then we want to state data, and data here would be ID is user ID, user.id. We want to state given name is going to be user.user. There we go, dot given name. Let's see, why is this wrong? Oh, that's because we didn't declare this. Existing users equal to await prisma.user.create. So this shouldn't be create, this should be find unique. So this should be .find unique because it's looking to see if this exists. So here would be create. So it's create, and then we're gonna have this, and then we can just take all of this, cut it, and paste it right in here. Awesome. So we have given name, then we have picture. And for the picture, we're gonna have user.picture. Then we're gonna have email, and here will be user.email. Okay, now we can go ahead and create the new comment. So now we can say const new comment is equal to await prisma.connect.comment.create. And here we want the data to be the content, which is going to be the comment, the post ID. We want the user ID, and the user ID is going to be existing user.id, and we want the parent ID. And because this is optional, this is going to be parent ID or null. Awesome. Now we want to include, and this is going to include the user details in the response. So we're going to say user, and this is going to be true. Great. Now we can come down here and we just want to return the next response.json, and this is going to be new comment, and this is going to be the status of 200. So for catch error, we're going to state console.error, and this is going to be failed to create comment, and we're going to state error. We're going to return next response.json, and this is going to be message failed to create comment, and then we're going to have let's see, we don't need an extra here, but let's see. Awesome. And then here we're going to have status of 500. Cool. And just like that, we've created the whole thing. So now what we want to do is we want to be able to, since we've posted a comment, we want to be able to delete a comment. So let's go ahead and just close out of this. And then let's see, let's go to API. And here we're going to create a new folder, and this is going to be delete comment. And here it's going to be route.js. So here we're going to state import get Kindi server session. Let's make sure we don't have this part in there. And now we want to say export async function, and this is going to be delete request, and here it's going to be const comment ID. So we're getting this from the back end, from the front end, and this is going to be await request.json. Here we're going to say const get user is equal to get Kindi server session request. We're going to say const user is equal to await get user. So we should be familiar with this process already. Now we want to say if there's no user, then we want to return next response.json, and here we're going to say message is going to be unauthorized. There we go. And here we're going to have status of 401. Cool. So that's if there's no user. So now, if there is a user, we can check to see if the comment exists and if it belongs to that user. So we're gonna say try catch. We're gonna say const comment is equal to await prisma.comment.find unique, and here we're saying where ID comment ID. So what's wrong here? So comment ID, Okay. Isn't that what we have here? Const comment ID is equal to this. So try. So let's see, we probably did something wrong. So export user, if user, blah, blah. Okay, so let's do this. If user, return next response.json, message status for 1. Okay. That's why. So this should be within this. There you go. Awesome. Now, if there is no comment, or the comment.user ID is not equal to user.id, then we want to return next response.json, and this is going to be message comment not found or not authorized to delete, and we're going to have a status here of 404. So let's do awesome. Great. So now if all this is satisfied, meaning we have a comment and the comment.user ID is user ID, so the comment.user ID is equal to user ID, then we want to delete the comment. So we're going to say await prisma.comment.delete, and we're going to say where ID is equal to comment ID. And now we want to return next response.json, and this here is going to be message, and this is going to be comment deleted successfully, and it's going to be status of 200. And for the catch error, we're going to say console.error, and this is going to be failed to delete comment, and then we're just going to pass in that error here, and we're going to say return next response.json, and here we're going to say message is failed to delete comments. Status here is going to be 500. Cool. Awesome. So with that, now we want to be able to get the comments. Actually, what we want to do is, that's what we just did, was to delete a specific comment. Now, if you want to delete a whole bunch of comments, we have to write the logic for that as well. So how we go about that is by, let's open up API again, and then let's go to new folder, and this is going to be delete comments, plural. And here we're going to have routes.js. Awesome. So here we're also going to import Kindi server session. Let's make sure we take this part out. And now we can state export async function delete, and this should take in the request. And here we're going to say const, we're going to take that comment ID as well, is equal to await request.json, and we're going to say const get user is equal to get Kindi server session. This is going to be const user is equal to await get user. Awesome. And now the same thing. So we're just going to say if there's no user, then return next response.json, and here it's going to be the same thing. Message is going to be unauthorized, and the status here is going to be 401. Cool. And here, if we say try catch, it's going to be const comment is equal to await prisma.comment.find unique. And here it's going to be where. So we practically just did this a couple of seconds ago. So we're just going to make a small change soon. So here, let's make sure we take this out. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. And here we're going to say if comments.userID does not equal user ID, then user.id, ID should be lowercase. Awesome. Return next response.json, and this would be message forbidden, and status here would be 403. And then we can go ahead and state, let's put a semicolon here. Now we'll go ahead and state await prisma.comments.delete, and here it's going to be where ID, comment ID, and then we can state return next response.json. This is going to be message. This is going to be comment deleted. Here we're going to have status of 200, and here it's going to be return next response.json message failed to delete comment with a status of 500. Awesome. So we're going to be able to see this in action when we build out our front end. So we can just go ahead and close this for the time being. So now that we have the deletes done, what we want to do now is get comments. So we want to be able to get the comments and when we post them. So when we post them, we want to be able to get those comments. So what we want to do is go back into the API here, new folder, and this is going to be called get comments. And let's make this plural. So let's rename it get comments. And then this is going to be routes.js. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is, so we're going to state import next response, because we're going to be using next response. We're going to import Prisma. Awesome. So now we're going to say export a sync function, and this is going to be get. We're going to pass in a request here. And here we're going to say const, and we're going to say search params is equal to new URL, and this is going to be request.url. We're going to say const post ID is equal to search params.get post ID. So if we don't have a post ID, then we want to return next response.json, and here the message is going to be post ID is required with a status of 400. Actually, status 400. Awesome. So now we can come down. Let's do this. Awesome. So now we can come down here and we can have a try catch. And within this try, we're going to say const comments is equal to await Prisma dot comments dot find many. And here we want to find it where post ID, parent ID, is equal to null. And this is just saying fetch only the top level comments. So that's what we're trying to do here. So we're trying to fetch the top level comments here. And here we're going to say include, and this is going to be user is true. So we're going to include the user details. Reply is going to be include, and we're going to say user is true. So here we're including the user details for the replies as well. User is true, and then we're going to say replies. There we go. This is going to include user, which is true. So here we're going to include the details for the nested replies. So now we want to sort it and say order by. Let's come here. We're going to say order by created at, and we want it in ascending order. There we go. So we want it in ascending order. And then down here, we also want to order by, and this is going to be created at, and this is also going to be ascending order. Cool. Awesome. So now what we want to do is we're going to say return next response.json, and here we're going to say comments, and this is going to be status of 200. Awesome. So now for error, we're going to state return next response.json, and this is going to be message failed to fetch comments. And this is going to be status of 500. Awesome. So this is how you get the comments. So the whole process here is how we get the comments, and then the front end is going to be where we display those comments. So this is just how we get the comments after we've posted them. So that's basically what we're doing with the logic here. So the next step now is we're going to be writing the logic for editing our comments. So if we add a comment, we want to be able to edit it and then repost it. So what we want to do is we want to come over here, and we're going to state an API as well. So let's create a new folder, and this is going to be called edit comments. And here we're going to have route.js as well. So routes.js. Awesome. So here we're going to import get Kindi server. So we're going to say import get Kindi server session, and here we're going to just do this. Awesome. And now we want to import Prisma. And we want to import next response. Awesome. So now we want to say export a sync function, and this is going to be patch. So we're not going to be using put because we don't want to edit the whole thing. We just want to edit a specific response, specific comment. So if we use put, we're going to edit practically the whole thing. We just want to patch the comment that was made, so edit the specific comments. So here we're going to say const comment ID and content. So we're getting the content from the front end is equal to await request.json. So we're getting both those things from the front end. We're going to say const get user. So we've been doing this. So get user is equal to get Kindi server session, and then const user is equal to await get user. Awesome. Now we're going to say if there is no user, then return next response.json, and this is going to be message unauthorized, and here we're going to say status is 401, and here we're going to have a try catch, and for the try here is going to be const comment is equal to await prisma.comment dot find unique, and here we're going to say where id comment id, and then we're going to end it there. Now we can go ahead and say if comment dot user id does not equal user.id, then we want to return next response.json, and this is going to be message forbidden, and this is going to be a status of 403. Else we can have we're going to have const updated comment is equal to await prisma.comment.updates, and here we're going to say where id is comment id and data is content. Now we can just return next response.json, and this is going to be updated comment. We're going to have status of 200, and let's go over to catch. This is going to be return next response.json, and this is going to be message failed to update comment. Status here is going to be 500. Awesome. So now that we have all that API set up, what we want to do now is go over to our front end. In our front end, we're going to be creating the comments.jsx component. So we're going to head over to our front end. So let's close out let's close that API. Let's close out this blog, and we want to come over to components here, and we're going to call this a new file, and this is going to be comments.jsx. So comments.jsx. Awesome. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're using client, because this is going to be a client component, and then we're going to be importing let's import React first, and then we're going to import use state and use effect. So we're going to be using this, and then we're going to say import circular progress. So circular progress, not from Sanity, should have it in material UI. So let's say import circular progress. There we go, material UI. This should be slash circular progress. Awesome. So now we're going to have export default function, and this should say comments. Awesome. And this is going to take in, for right now, let's just put this as post ID. We're going to come back to that. And here we're going to state const comments and set comments. And this is going to equal use state, and this is going to be an empty array. We're also going to say const loading, and this is going to be set loading is equal to use state. This is true. Awesome. So within this component, what we're going to be doing is setting up our functions. So we're not really building out the components with this. We're kind of just setting up the functions, and then we'll create another component that will show the front end portion of the comments form. So right now, all this comments component is doing is writing out the function that's going to be passed as props to that comment form section. That's where we're going to see the form that you can input stuff in, etc. So As we go along, it will all make sense, but right here, we want to, within this component, we just want to write functions that we're going to be passing in as props. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first function that we want to write out is going to be, const calculate comment count. And here, what this is doing is it's going to calculate how many comments and replies that we have within our comment section. So that way it can be displayed at the very top of our blog post. So when you go into the blog post and you type into it, you should be able to see how many responses / comments that the post has. So this will be comment array. So later on, you'll see how that gets implemented. So here we're going to say let count equal comment array dot length, and then we're going to state comments array dot for each, and here it's going to be comment if comment dot replies and comment dot replies dot length is greater than 0, then we want count to be comment dot replies. So we're incrementing the count, and it's going to be comment dot replies dot length. So that's what we're incrementing it by. Awesome. And then we're just gonna return count. Now we can go ahead and state use effect, and here we're gonna state async function load comments, and here we're gonna have try catch. And within try, we're going to say const response is equal to await fetch. And here we're going to be fetching by API / get comments. Post ID is equal to post ID. And we're going to say const initial comments is equal to await response.json. Cool. Now we want to ensure the comment is within an array, so we're going to say if array is array, pass an initial comment, then we want to say set comments, and this is going to be initial comments. Else we're going to state set comments to an empty array. So for the error here, we're going to say console.error, and this is going to be failed to load comments error. And here we're going to say set comments. It's an empty array, and we're going to have finally here. So this should be finally, and set load in here to false. So what this is doing is just stop loading after comments are fetched. So it's going to stop loading after the comments are fetched. And then we're going to have load comments here. We're going to call that function here, and it's going to be dependent on the post ID. Awesome. Cool. So now we want to write functions for the reply. So we're going to say const add reply. So if we want to add a response, we're going to say async parent ID. So we're going to pass in a parent ID here. And we're also going to pass in the content. Awesome. So it's going to be try catch. And within the try, we're going to say const response equal to await fetch. This is going to be /API/post comment. And this is going to be method is going to be post. We're going to have headers. And headers here is going to be content type. And this is going to be application/JSON. The body here is going to be JSON .stringify. We're going to pass in post ID, content, as well as parent ID. Awesome. So we're going to state if response.ok, then we want const new comment to equal await response.json. We want const update replies to equal comment there we go, parent ID, new comment. It's going to be an arrow function, and we're going to state return comments.map comments. And here we're going to say if comment.id is equal to parent ID, then we want to return spread operator comment, and we want to add that replies. So we want to add the replies. So it's going to be replies, and it's going to be an array spread operator. This should be comment.replies or empty array, and then it's going to be new comment. So we should have else if, and this is comment.replies.length return spread operator comment, and here we're going to say replies updated replies comment.replies, and this should be parent ID, and this should be new comment. And then here we're going to have else, and this is going to be return comment. Cool. So before we get over to our catch error, what we can do is we're going to state set comments. So down here we're going to say set comments, and this is going to be previous comment, and this is going to be, actually we don't need this. This is just going to be updated replies, and this is going to be previous comments, parent ID, and this is going to be new comments. So now what we want to do is we're going to say else. Here it's going to be console.error, and it's going to be failed to submit reply. And then we're going to have our catch. We're going to have our catch error here, and this is going to be console.error failed to submit reply. And this should be error. Cool. So now what we want to do is we want to create one for delete comment. And this is going to be const delete comment is equal to async comment ID. And here it's going to be try catch. And for the try, it's going to be const response is equal to await So let's just copy this. Let's copy all of this. And we're just going to paste this here. And we're just going to alter it. So this is going to be delete comments. And make sure it's comment without the plural s. Here the method is going to be delete. Headers here is going to be the same. Body here is going to be comment ID. Awesome. Here we're going to have if response.ok, then set comments to previous comments, and this is going to be previous comments dot filter comment dot ID is not equal to comment ID. Then we're going to have a else, and the else here is going to be console.error failed to delete comments. Then here for catch, we're going to have console.error failed to delete comments. This is going to be error. And that's it for the delete portion. Now we're going to have the edit portion, and this is going to be down here. So this is going to be const edit comments is equal to async comment ID content. And here we're going to say try catch, and here it's going to be const response. Actually, we're just going to paste that in as well. So here we're going to have edit comment. Let's make sure, is that in plural or API edit comment? Let's see. Okay, it's plural. So edit comments, there we go. Here the method is going to be patch. Headers is going to be the same, and the body here is going to be content ID. So comment ID, not content, comment ID and content. Awesome. And now we're going to have the same if response.ok, then await response.json, set comments, previous comments, and here we're going to have previous comments dot map, and here it's going to be comment dot ID is equal to comment ID. Then we're going to have dot comment, so spread operated and comments, and then we're going to have content. Okay, else we're just going to have comment. Okay, else, so we're going to have else, and this is going to be console.error failed to update comment. And then we're going to have catch error here, and this is going to be console.error failed to update comment error. Awesome. There we go. Awesome. So now we want to create a handle submit. So we're going to say const handle submit comment. So we want to be able to submit our comment. So this is going to be async content. And here we're going to have a try catch. And this is going to be, let's just paste this in. And this is going to be post comments. It's going to be post. Here we're taking in the post ID and the content. Awesome. So now what we want to do is we want to come over here and say if response.ok, then const new comment is equal to await response.json. And here's going to be set comments, and we're going to have previous comments here. It's going to equal, and then we're going to have an array with a spread operator saying previous comments and new comments. Else, this is going to be console.error failed to submit comment, and this is going to be let's just leave this as catch error, console.error. Here we're going to have failed to submit, and this is going to be comments, and we're going to have error here. So what we want to do now is we want to state the comment counts. So for the comment count, we're going to state const comments count is equal to calculates comment count, and we're going to pass in comments. So now we want to return and say return and create our div. So div class name is going to be margin top of 12, background of white, dark, background gray, 900. You want to say padding of 6. This is going to be rounded large, shadow medium, and we want to say h2 class name. This is going to be text 2XL, font semi-bold. Text is going to be gray 900, dark text gray 100, margin bottom of 4. We're going to say comments here is going to be comment count is greater than 0, and we also want the comment count. So we're going to state comment count. So if the comment count is greater than 0, then we want the comment count. So after doing so, we can come over to our components, and we're going to create a new file, and this is going to be called comment form.jsx. Awesome. So let's go over here, and then what we want to do is let's do this for right now. RAFCE. We'll come back and change that up. Here we're going to go ahead and import that. So comment form, and then we're going to pass in a handle submit comment is equal to handle submit comment. Let's close out of that. And now we want to be able to show the load-in spinner while the comments are loading. So we're going to say if loading, then we want div class name. So this should not be. So div. So let's do this. Let's start over. So loading. Then we can have a div. Okay. And here it's going to be div class name. And this is going to be flex, justify center. And we're going to have margin Y of 6. Cool. Here we're going to pass in that circular progress. Awesome. And now we can state else. We want div class name space y x, and here we're going to say if the comments dot length is equal to 0, then we want the p tag, so a paragraph tag, and here it's going to be class name text gray of 600, dark text gray of 400, and then here we're going to say no comments yet, be the first to comment. Else we're going to say comment.map comment, and this is going to be comment. So once again, we got to create another component here, and this component here is going to be called comment data.jsx. We're going to do the same thing, rafce. Awesome. So here we're going to import that comment data. Okay, and here we're going to pass in a key as comment.id. We're going to state comment is equal to comment. We're going to state add reply is equal to add reply. Delete comment is equal to delete comment. Edit comment is equal to edit comment. And then we're going to close out of it. Awesome. So this is what it's going to look like, and we're pretty much set with our comments.jsx. So the only thing we got to do now is fill out our comment form as well as our comment data. So before we go ahead and write out our comment form code, let's head over to our API. So let's go to app API, and actually let's head over to blog. So within app, we're just going to head over to blog slug, and then we're going to go to page.js. So down here within page.js, what we want to do is right after this div, we want to import the comments component. So we're going to say comments, and let's see if it imports comments. There we go. So we're importing that comments component, and we're going to pass in the post ID as data._id. And we're just going to close that. And that's it. So we can go ahead and close this out, and let's open up our code here. Let's open up our project here. So as you can see, we're currently logged in. As it says, hi test 1 2 3, and log out here. We can close out of that. And when we scroll down, we can come over to, let's go to Animal Crossing here. And when you click on read more, let's see. Okay, so let's come over here, and I believe because of how we imported it, let's go over to page.js. Let's make sure it's been imported properly. So import comments from @components/comments. Okay, let's do this as well. Let's do this. Export const revalidate is equal to 60. So it's going to revalidate every minute. So let's just put that in there. Let's do this. So that shouldn't really make that big of a difference right now. There we go. So it just says check the render method of comments. So let's go over to comments, and I think it's how we exported it. So if we come over to comments here, so after debugging this, as you can see right here, we still have this error. So I believe the error is coming from, if we go back to comments here with circular progress, let's take out this bracket here, and let's see if this works now. So let's close out of comments, And then let's see if this works. There we go. So now it works. So our problem was simply if you go to comments in components, circular progress should not have these parentheses around it. So we go ahead and just close this out. And now that we passed post ID as data.id within comments, we can go ahead and just close this part out. So if we come back to our application here and we scroll down, as you can see, we have comments, comment form, no comments yet, be the first to comment. So now what we want to do is we want to create the form for it. So when we go back to our IDE, what we want to do is we want to write the code in here that's now going to create the form that we're going to use as our comment form. So that's where we're going to place our content, our comments content within. So let's go ahead and just close this. And then here we're going to import useState. So we're going to be importing useState here because that's all we're going to be using. useState. Awesome. And because we're importing useState, this is going to be a client component. So let's go ahead and just state use client here. Awesome. And now we can come over down here and we can state const comment and set comment. And this is going to equal useState, and this is going to be empty quotations. And we're going to state const handle submit is equal to async. We're going to pass in the event handler, and this is going to be e.prevent default. And we're going to say await handle submit comment. So let's come over here and pass that in. So it's going to be handle submit comment. Awesome. And comment. And remember, we created that within our comments.jsx. So let's go ahead and say set comment. And here it's going to be empty string. Cool. Now we can just go ahead and return. So we're going to say, let's change this to form. And within this form, we're going to say onSubmit. And this is going to equal handle submit. And the class name here is going to be margin bottom of 6. So what we can do is we can split this screen so you can see what's going on. Awesome. So you'll be able to see it in action. So let's make sure that we have this. Cool. So now we want the text area. And for this text area, we're going to say name is equal to comment. The placeholder here is going to be write a comment. We're going to say class name here is with full, padding 4, rounded large, border gray. This is going to be 300. And for dark, it's going to be border gray. So border gray 700. And background is going to be gray. And this is going to be 100. And we're going to have dark background gray 800. And focus here is going to be outline none. And we're going to say, so let's do this. So it's going to be outline none, and focus here is going to be ring 2. Focus is going to be ring blue 500, and text here is going to be small. So let's go ahead and do this so we can, there we go. So that looks a lot better. So focus here is going to be focus ring blue 500, and text is small. So focus, ring blue 500, text is small, and then we need to add the rows. So we're gonna say rows, and our rows is gonna be 3. We're gonna say value is gonna be comment. We're gonna say on change, we're gonna have E, and here we're gonna state set comment, and this is gonna be e.target.value. And we're gonna make sure this is required. Awesome. So if we look over here now, as you can see, this has been created. So this is gonna be our comment box. And now, and is because there's no comments, it's gonna say no comments yet, period, be the first to comment, exclamation. So that's all we have there. So now right below that, we're gonna have div, class name. Here it's gonna be flex, justify end. Margin top of 2. Here we're gonna have button. The type is gonna be submit. Class name here is gonna be pattern X of 4. Pattern Y is gonna be 2. Background is gonna be blue 600. Text is gonna be white. And rounded is gonna be large. And then within here, we're gonna have submit. And that's the submit button right there. So below it, you should have the no comments here, period, be the first to comment, exclamation. So this is still gonna be below it. We just have the submit over there. So after doing that, we're pretty much all done with our comment form, so we don't have to do anything else. So it's all been taken care of. So this is the logic that we need to create that text area for our comment section. So that's pretty much it. So now we want to create our comment data. So let's go ahead and go to our comment components. We're going to go to new file, and here we're going to go to comments data. Oh, we already created comments data. So let's just go over to comments data. So right here, and within comment data, we're going to add some logic to this as well. So let's open this up. And then with comment data, we're going to import a couple of things. So we're going to import use state. We're going to import fi edit. We're going to import fi trash 2. We're going to import fi corner down right. And this is all from React icons /fi. And then we're going to import md reply from React icons /md. And we're going to say import modal from dot modal /modal. So we haven't created this yet, and we're going to create that in a second. So here, let's go over to our components, and we're going to create a new file, and this file is going to be called modal.jsx. And this is going to house our modal for when we so this modal is going to house basically our delete modal. So if you go ahead and delete a comment, you want a modal to open up asking, are you sure you want to delete this comment? So that's what this is for. So rather than adding everything within the comments component, we can create a separate modal component for it. So here, the first thing we want to do is we want to state import React from React. And then we want to state function modal. In here, we're going to pass in is open, on close. We want to pass in on confirm. We want to pass in title and message. We also want to say if is not open. So is not is open, return null. Else return. And here we're going to have div and div. And here we're going to say class name is fixed, inset is 0, flex items center, justify center, and z is 50. we're going to say div class name. Here is absolute. Inset is 0. Background gray is 900. Opacity is 50. Here we're going to say div class name is background white. We're going to say dark is background gray 800. We're going to say dark is actually this is going to be rounded, is going to be large. Shadow is going to be large. Padding of 6. We have z index of 10. Width of 11 out of 12. And medium width of 1/3. Awesome. So let's do this. And there we go. So now we want a header 2 class name. And this is going to be text large. Font is semi-bold. We want text to be gray 800. Dark text gray 200. And here we want the title. And right below it, we want a P class name. And this is going to be margin top of 2. Text is small. Text gray of 600. Dark text gray of 400. And here, we're just going to pass in message. Below it, we want another div. So div class name. And this is going to be flex justify end. We want this to be margin top of 4, space x of 2. In here, it's going to be button. And class name here is going to be padding x of 4, padding y of 2. Text is going to be small. Text gray of 600. Dark text gray of 400. Background gray of 200. Dark background gray 700. Awesome. And then we want rounded to be medium. And then here we're just going to have it on close, on click, sorry, on close. So it should be on close. There we go. And within the button, it's going to say cancel. And we're going to have another button. So we're just going to take this, copy it, and bring it down here. Let's see, the padding here would be 4, padding wise 2, text small is it's text small, and then we're gonna have text white. So let's take all this out. So it's text white, and it's gonna be background red of 600, and the background red of 600, and it's gonna be rounded medium. Awesome. On click here would be on confirm. And for this button, it's just going to be delete. And then down here, we just want to make sure we have this as export default modal. Awesome. And close this. And then now we can properly import it. So let's try it again. Modal. There we go. So that's been properly imported. So here, let's go ahead and change this up. So actually, let's just do this. And here, let's change this to function, comment data. And let's pass in comment, add reply, delete comment, edit comment. Awesome. Now we're going to have a bunch of state hooks. So I'm just going to copy and paste the state hooks rather than write everything all out, and then we'll go over it. So right here is our state hooks. So we have const reply set reply is equal to use state, and this is an empty string. We have const show reply form, and set show reply form. This is going to be use state false. Here we have const show replies, and set show replies is use state true. Here it's const is editing and set is editing to use state false. And here it's const edited content and set edited content is use state comment dot content. And then here it's const is modal open, set is modal open is use state false. So these are all the hooks we're going to be using. Let's go ahead and write our logic down. So for our logic, it's going to be const handle reply submit and is equal to async, passing e, and here it's going to be e.prevent default, and then we're going to state await add reply, and this is going to be comment.id and reply. We're going to say set reply here to an empty string and set show reply form to false. Awesome. Now we can say const handle edit submit is equal to, it's an arrow function, and then we're going to pass an e here as well, and here it's going to be e.prevent default, and this is going to be await edit comment comment.id edit comment, and set is editing here is going to be false. Now we want our delete, so const handle delete click. This is also going to be an arrow function. Here it's going to be set is modal open to true. We're also going to come down here. This is going to be const handle delete confirm. And this is for when you hit delete, you want to confirm that you want to delete it. So this is going to be delete comment comment.id, and this is going to be set is modal open to false. Now we want to go ahead and return, so let's go ahead and do this, and then we're going to say return, and for our return we're going to have a div. This is also going to be div. Class name here is going to be margin bottom is 6. It's going to be capitalized. We're going to have another div here. Class name here is going to be flex items start space x4. We're going to pass in an image here, and the source is going to be comment.user.given_name, or it's going to be slash profile .wbp. Then we're going to close that. So here we're going to say alt, and alt is going to be backticks here. And with the backticks, we're going to have, so we don't actually need this over here. So with the backticks, we're going to say $ comments.user.given_name, or users, so users avatar. And then we have the class name, and this is going to be width 10, height 10, rounded is full. Awesome. And now below it, we can have a div. Class name here is going to be flex1. And within this div, we're going to have another div. Class name here is going to be flex justify between. And then here we're going to have a p class name, and it's going to be font semi-bold. Text is large. Text here is gray, 800. Dark text is going to be gray 200 capitalized. And here we're going to have comment.user.given name. And then below this, we're going to have another div. And the class name here is going to be flex items center space x2. And here we're going to have some logic. This says comment.user.id is equal to comment.userid. Then we want the button here to be on click. This is going to be set is editing to true. Class name here is going to be text gray 500. Hover is going to be text blue 600. And ARIA label is going to be edit. And within the button, we're going to have FI edit, so the icon. Awesome. And below it, we're going to have another button. So let's just copy this button. So this button is going to have on click is handle delete click. The class name here is going to be text gray 500, and hover is going to be text red 600, and this is going to be delete. And here it's going to be FI trash 2. Awesome. So here we can come down here and we can state if is editing, then we want a form on submit, and this is going to be handle edit submit with a class name of margin top 2. And we're going to have another text area here. So we're going to have a text area, and this is going to be value of edited content. On change is going to be e set edit content to e.target.value. Class name here is going to be with full, pattern is 2, rounded, large, border gray 300. And then dark here is going to be border gray 700, background is gray 100. And then dark, let's do this. Okay. All right, and let's do this. Now we can do that. So dark here is going to be background background gray of 800. And then focus here is going to be outline none. Focus is going to be ring 2. Focus is going to be ring blue 500. And the text here is going to be small. Now we have rows, and this is going to be 3, and this is going to be required. Awesome. So we have that, and then we're going to have a div here, And the class name here is going to be flex justify end margin top of 2 space x of 2, and within it we're going to have a button. And what we're going to do, let's just take this button and we'll just adjust it to meet our requirements. So button here is going to be type button. Class name is going to be, let's take this out, is going to be padding x of 4, padding y of 2, text is small, text is gray 600. We're going to have dark, text is gray 400, background gray 200, dark, background gray 700, and rounded here is going to be medium. And then for on click, we're going to have this arrow function that is editing to false. Awesome. So we don't really need the ARIA label here. And this icon is going to be cancel. So let's go ahead and do that again. Just copy this and bring it down one more. Here, we're gonna have the type is gonna be submit. Class name is padding 4, padding y, padding x of 4, padding x of 4, padding y of 2, padding x of 4, padding y of 2. Text is small. Text here is going to be white, and background is going to be blue 600. And and it's going to be rounded medium. So this is going to be save. Awesome. So now we can come to this OR, and within this OR, what we want to state is, let's come down here, and this is going to be a P tag and a P tag. And this P tag is going to be class name, text, gray 600, dark is going to be text, gray 400, and then we're just going to have comment.content. Awesome. And then down here, we're going to have another div, and this div is going to be flex items center, margin top of 1, space x of 4. And here we're going to say button. Actually, let's just paste that button in there again. And for this button, the on click is going to be set show reply, and this is do not show reply form. Awesome. We don't need a type here. And for class name, we're just going to keep it simple. So let's take this out, and this is going to be flex. Items is going to be center. Text is going to be small. Text blue is 600. Hover is underline. And here we can use ARIA label, and this is going to be reply. And for this, we're just going to have that MD reply. And the class name here is going to be margin right 1, and we can just close this. So we have comment.replies .length is greater than 0. So if comment.replies.length is greater than 0, then, so keep in mind this is long because it's a nested response. So you can respond to multiple, you can respond to a response. So it's a nested response process. It's a nested reply process. So that's why it's so long. Typically, you can just have one reply per person, but here you can respond to as many, you can nest the responses as many times as you want. That's why it's so long. So here we're gonna have button, and within button, we're gonna say on click, and here it's gonna be an arrow function, and this is going to be set show replies and do not show replies. And then actually we're still within this tag. Now we can say class name is going to be flex items center, text is going to be small, text is blue 600, hover here is underline, and area label is going to be show replies. And here we're going to have fi corner down right, class name here is going to be equal to margin right of 1. And here if we want to show replies, then hide replies. So if the replies are shown here, you want to hide replies, else you want to show replies. So that's for the toggle. So for show replies, you can hide replies or you can show the replies. And that's it. So now you want to be able to show the reply form. So now we want to come down here and we want to say if we have show replies, well, show reply form, there we go, then we want to state form on submit. This is going to be handle reply submit. Class name here is going to be margin top of 4, and then we're going to have text area. The name here is going to be reply. We're going to have placeholder that states write a reply. And then here we're going to have class name, and the class name is extremely long, so I'm just going to copy and paste that in. So for the class name, let's just take this out and bring it down here. We're going to have this. Awesome. And then we're going to have our rows. So we're going to have rows is 2. So rows here is going to be 2. And then we're going to have value here is going to be reply. On change here is going to be an arrow function. And this is going to be set reply. And this is going to be e.target.value. And this is going to be required. Awesome. Now we're going to have div class name flex justify end margin top of 2. We're going to have space x of 2. And this is going to be button. And for button, we're going to have type. And the type here is going to be button. And we're going to have class name. So class, so let's come in here. And we're just going to have class name. And the same thing, I'm just going to copy and paste this class name in there. And for this class name, we're going to have this. There we go. So background gray of 700, rounded is medium. So just remember the text is also small. So once again, the class name is going to be padding x of 4, padding y of 2, text is small, text gray of 600, dark text gray of 400, background gray of 200, dark background gray 700, rounded is medium. And then within the button, let's have an onClick. So here we're going to have an onClick, and this onClick is going to be an arrow function, and this is going to state set show reply form, and this is going to be false. Awesome. And then here it's going to be cancel. Cool. Now we can just copy this over. So copy this button, and down here this button is going to have a submit, not a cancel. For the onClick, we're just going to have it taken out. So let's just take this out. Awesome. And now for the type, we're going to have it as submit. And for the class name, we're just going to change this to text white. text white. Awesome. And it's gonna be background blue 600, and this is gonna be rounded, and then we're just gonna keep it as rounded. So this is gonna be our submit, and then we want to say, let's come down here after this closing parentheses and bracket. We want to say show replies. So if we have show replies and comment dot replies dot length is greater than 0, then we want to state, let's do this as well. Let's, in here, we're going to have div, and here the class name is going to be margin top of 4, pattern left of 6, border left of 2, border gray of 300, dark border gray of 700. And here we're going to state, if we have a comment that replies and want to map through it, and here we're going to state reply, and it's going to be comment data. So we want to bring in comment data here. So let's do this, comment data. So why don't we have comment data? So let's see, comments, comment form. And we're just going to have it as key is equal to reply.id. Comment is going to be reply. Add reply is going to be add reply. We're going to have delete comment here, and this is going to be delete comment. We're also going to have edit comment, and this is going to be edit comment. And then we're just going to close out of this. And then, let's see, let's do this. So we have an error somewhere. Oh, that's the error. We don't need this. There we go. Okay, so with comment data, this should be comment with a capital C and data with a capital D. We can come back down here, and now we should have this with no error. So comment data here. And then lastly, so we're at the tail end here. So lastly, what we want to do is after this div, we want to pass in that modal. So we're going to say modal, and is open is going to be is modal open. On close here is going to be an arrow function, and we're going to state set is modal open, and this is going to be false. Awesome. And we're going to state on close. So let's see. Let's do this. So on close is going to be an arrow function as well, and this is going to be set is modal open. Oh, we already have an on close. So on confirm, and this is going to be handle delete confirm. And this is going to be title, and this title is going to be delete comment, and we're going to have message, and the message here is, are you sure you want to delete this comment? This action cannot be undone. Awesome. So after doing so, we can come down here, and then on the last line, we can go ahead and state export default comments data and semicolon. And that's it. So we'll go ahead and just close out of this. Awesome. So once we do that, now we can go and check out our modal to see if it works. So is this an error here? Import React icon /fi cannot be imported. Let's see why. So we should have React icon. So where is this? This is comment data. So it should be the very first line. Well, we have two MD reply? No, it should just be MD reply. And here it's saying it can't find import fi edit. Let's see, why is that? React icons. Oh, this should be React icons with an S. Awesome. So let's see if this works now. So we can go ahead and just close out of this. So let's see if this works. Awesome. All right, so we keep getting this console log. So we don't actually need this console log anymore. So let's see where this is coming from. It's most likely coming from this backend here. We have a console log here. Yeah, we do. So we can take out this console log. We don't need it. Awesome. So after doing that, now let's go to our Chrome. Let's open this up. As you can see, it says comments. So let's refresh it. Awesome. So as you can see, it says comments, write a comments, ... We have a submit button right there, and that says no comments yet, period, be the first to comment, ! So what we want to do is let's see if we can actually write a comment. So we can say this is a great post, ! And let's see if this works. So let's go ahead and submit that. And do we see anything? So if we refresh this, do we see anything? No, it doesn't. So let's also go to our Supabase. So let's go to Google, Supabase. And let's open this up and let's see. Let's go to our dashboard. So we are using blog YouTube. So that's why it says the project blog YouTube is currently paused. So what we want to do is we want to restore the project and restore project. So when we restore the project, the database will now be reconnected. So it says restoration in progress and it's restoring project. Let's head over to our database. Awesome. So it's still setting up project here, so it might take a bit longer to get to our database. So let's try it again. Where's database? Okay, so it's still setting up project. So let's go over to to our project here, and let's see if we refresh it. Do we see anything yet? Nope, it still says no comment yet. Be the first to comment and write a comment ... within the text area. So let's come over here. As you can see, it's just the project status is now orange. We can come over to database and let's see, did anything save? So as you can see, it says no tables created yet. There are no tables found in public schema, in the schema. So that's interesting. I thought we did build the table. So let's see, let's try that again. That's interesting. So let's try this again. Let's refresh this. So it's still restoring. So it says restoring can take a few minutes up to several hours. So, okay. Return the project. Now let's see. Awesome. So as you can see, we did create our table. So that's why it's good to be patient. So let's refresh one last time. Let's see if, there we go. So we have a comment and we have a user. So let's try this again. So right now we have 0, 0, no description, and comment and user. Awesome. So let's go ahead and just go to our project. So let's try it again. So let's say this is a really great post, and ! Click out of it and then submit. So do we have anything there? Let's refresh this. Okay, so we have nothing. So for some reason, let's refresh this. Interesting. So for some reason, our post is not being. Okay, so that's the problem. So we have a 500 here with post comments. Let's see why. Let's see. Request.json is not a function. Let's see. So let's go to post comments first, because post comment is the initial error. So let's go over to post comments. Where is it? API. Post comments. So did we have it as post comment or post comments? Because that is also a problem. So let's go over to comments as well. And here for our post comments, yep, we have it as post comments. So what's the problem here? API/post comments. Request.json is not a function. Where's this? Post comments, number 12. Let's see. So as you can see, request.json here, JSON is in caps, so this should be in lowercase. So it should be await request.json in lowercase. So that's a big part of it. So this should say request.json in lowercase. And let's make sure we didn't make that mistake elsewhere. Let's see. Edit comment. Yep, I think that's the only place we made that error. Let's check this one as well. Let's see, get comments. Okay, so seems like that's the only place the error was made. So let's try that again. So let's close out of this. And let's do this. Let's restart this. And then let's run it back here. So let's see. And then we'll just try it again. Okay, let's try it again. Awesome. So no comments yet. Be the first to comment, exclamation point. Write a comment, ... and then submit right there. So let's see within our database, do we have anything in there? So we know if it's actually just nothing in there. Yep. So comment and user have no description, 0, 0. That's it. So let's go back in here. For comments, let's try it again. So let's say this was a great post, and then exclamation point. Click out of it, and then let's submit. And let's see if this works. So do we have an error? So let's see if it did post. Nope, still nothing in there. Let's see what so what's the error now? So we have API post comments. There's an error there. Let's see. Failed to create comments. Invalid prisma.user.create invocation. So we have all of this. Argument picture is missing. So we have a missing picture. So let's see. So I happen to find a problem, so after debugging it, so if you console log user here, you can see that for picture it's undefined, and username is undefined and phone number is undefined. So Kindy Auth does not have access to these three things. They don't have my picture, username, or phone number. So these are not within the database with Kindy Auth. So it's not going to, so therefore the Prisma create is not going to have user.picture because we said it's going to be a string. So what we want to do is we're going to say else. We're just going to do this. So let's see if this works now. So let's scroll back up. Let's clear this terminal out. And let's go ahead and open up our Chrome. Right now we have comments, write a comment, ... No comments yet, be the first to comment, exclamation, and with submit button right there. So what we want to do is let's go over to our Supabase to make sure there's also nothing in here. So let's refresh this. As you can see, comment no description 0, user no description 0. So we can come back to so here we have comments no description 0, user no description 0, and we can come back to our blog app. And now seeing how we'll be able to save our user information now because we added a string to the picture field, what we want to do is say for write a comment, we're just going to say this was a really great read, good job, and good job and then exclamation, and then click out of it and then submit. So let's see if we're able to see it now. So let's go back to Supabase, let's refresh this. So it's still comment no description 0, user no description 0. So why is that? So now let's come back here. What error do we have now? So welcome to debugging 101. Here it says unknown argument parent. Did you mean parent ID? Where is this? So data, let's see, data. Yep, so this should have said parent ID. Awesome. So let's try it again. So let's come over here and well, right now it says write a comment ... We have no comments yet. Be the first to comment. Submit button. Comment. Write a comment ... What we want to do now is let's come over to Supabase, refresh it, and right now it shows that we have one user in there and one comment. We have user no description 1 and comment no description 0. So for this user, we actually want to just delete this table. So let's delete this table. Okay, so we have to delete them both. So let's delete this. And now we can delete this user. So delete. Okay, so now we're probably gonna have to push again. So let's open this up and let's CD here. Let's see, do we have the, there we go, npx Prisma database push. So let's do this one more time. There we go. So we've pushed our database, and then we can close out of this. And now if we come back to Supabase and refresh this, there we go. We have comment no description 0, user no description 0. So there's nothing in there. We can come back to blog app. So here we still have write a comment ... No comments yet. Be the first to comment. Submit button. Write a comment ... So what we want to do is we want to write a comment, and this comment is going to say great job on the post. It was a great read. 10 out of 10. And then exclamation. And then you can go ahead and submit. There we go. So as you can see, now we have comments as 1. Here is test 1, 2, 3. Great job on the post. It was a great read, 10 out of 10. So if we look in a database and you refresh this, you can see we have 1 and 1. We can open up the database. So view and table editor. So as you can see, this is our user table. You can see the ID, given name, picture is empty, and the email is text, and it's my email over there, and there's nothing else there. So for comment, there we go. You can see the ID, the content is there. So great job on the post. It was a great read, full stop, and it continues on. Post ID text, user ID, parent ID is null. As you can see, parent ID is null because there's nothing that's been responded to. It's not been responded to. The original text has not been responded to, so it's going to be null. Here, as you can see, there's a timestamp. So now let's go back here, and if we now respond to this, we now make this a parent comment. So let's respond here. So if we click this reply button, which is not working, so let's see why. There we go. So this is why. Cannot read properties of reading _ID. So let's head over to our blog. So our blog route, let's see, where is it? There we go. So down here it says can't find underscore ID over here. And why is that? So it's saying cannot read properties of null, read an ID. And why is that? So let's see. That's interesting. It should be able to read that. So data, yeah, because as you can see, it's reading it here. So let's do this. And let's try it again. So let's clear this out. Okay, let's console log this and see what's going on. So let's go to our console. Let's see. Okay. Let's go over to our comments. So I believe the problem comes from this onClick. So if you go over to comment data.jsx, right before the comment.replies.length is greater than 0, then this portion, so the comment.replies.length is greater than 0, then button. So before this logic here, or this piece of code here, this block of code here, if you come up to this button, you see onClick set show replies is set show reply is not show reply form. What you want to do is change this set show replies to set show reply form, and then save that. So now let's head over to our application and see if that works. So if we come down here, as you can see, we have comments is 1. We still have write a comment ... And test 1, 2, 3 has great job on the post. It was a great read, 10 out of 10 exclamation point. And we still have our submit button right here. So if we come over to this respond button, this reply button, and we click on it, if you scroll down, now we have that reply. So for this reply, we can say, thank you for the kind words, exclamation point. We can click out of it and then submit. And there we go. So as you can see, now we submit, so it's nested. Now we have this. So if we come over to Supabase and there we go. So now that becomes a parent ID. So now that has a parent ID because it's now a parent comment, and the comment after it is null because there's nothing there. So there's no response to that one. It's not a parent ID. So it's not a parent comment. So what we want to do is let's go back to blog app and let's see if we can delete it. So for thank you for your kind words, if we hit delete here, as you can see, we have some CSS error. So let's go ahead and hit cancel. So we hit cancel, so it should still be there. So let's head over to our Visual Studio. For some reason, it keeps saying we can't read this. That's interesting. Cannot read properties of null. Read an ID. Okay, we'll come back to that. So let's clear out of this, and then for our delete button, let's come down here, and for let's see, for our modal, let's see if we have any. Let's go to our modal here. Let's see if our CSS is done properly. Okay, so within our modal, the first thing I see is here, this should not be down here. This div should not be closed down there. Instead, it should be closed over here. There we go. So that's one error. So let's see if that fixes anything. So let's come back here and let's hit delete here. There we go. So it says delete comment. Are you sure you want to delete this comment? This action cannot be undone. We can go ahead and delete. And does it delete? So let's see. Do we have an error? Prisma is not defined, so let's go over to delete comment. So let's go over to delete. Is this delete comment? Which one is it? Delete comment. So I guess this delete comments was not used. I probably used it earlier and then just made another one. So I guess we're not going to be using delete comments with an S. So let's see. It says line 21. Prisma is not. Where is it? Oh, we didn't call Prisma. So let's import that. So import Prisma, and let's save that. So now let's see. We can close out of this. Now we can come back. We can come back to Chrome. Let's see. So let's go ahead and delete this. Yep, we want to delete it. So let's make sure we're deleting the right one. So thank you for the kind words is what we're deleting. So thank you for the kind words, exclamation point is what we're deleting. So let's go ahead and delete, and does it delete? So let's see. Well, we have delete is 200. So let's see. So it did delete, but why did it take so long to? It should show automatically. So let's come over here, and it did delete. So let's do this. Let's try that again. So great job on the post. It was a great read. 10 out of 10 exclamation. So let's respond to this, and let's state, awesome. Glad you liked it. Exclamation. And then let's submit this. Awesome. So now let's delete it. So delete. So it should delete automatically. It should be taken out automatically. Okay, so we got to fix that. So, but for some reason, this keeps saying can't read. So let's fix this. Reading _ID. So let's go over to slug page. So there's a problem here. So here, let's just place a question mark here and see if that fixes that. And now let's head over to our delete. So right here. So we're gonna go ahead and copy all of this, and we're just gonna comment it out. And then we're doing this for the sake of time, and then we're just gonna paste all this in. So this is gonna be the new code. Let me go ahead and do this so you can see it better. And what's going on here is pretty much similar to the same to what we have up top. So what we're doing here is going to be similar to what we just commented out. Here we're going to say if response.ok. So if response.ok, const remove comment by ID. So here we're going to map to the comments, and we're going to remove them based on if the ID matches the comment ID. Here we're going to have if comment.replies and comment.replies.length is greater than 0. Then we want to return this. Else we're returning comments. Here we're going to be running the filter method for comment, and if comment does not equal null. So here we're then going to set comments to previous comments, and we're going to remove comment by the ID. We have an else here, console.error failed to delete comment, and we have a catch error here. So failed to delete comment error. So let's go ahead and save this. And now we can go down to our application. So let's see if we can, let's go ahead and type a response here. So this says great job on the post. It was a great read, 10 out of 10 exclamation points. So here we can say thanks for the comment, appreciate it, appreciate the review. Awesome. And then we can go ahead and submit. So that's been submitted. Now let's see if we hit the delete now, and we hit delete. Does that? There we go. So it deleted immediately. And now if we look in Supabase, it's still gone. It's no longer there. Awesome. So let's see if our edit works. So if we hit edit, as you can see, it works. So let's say 100 out of 100. And then let's save that. So that did not work. So let's see if Nope, that still says 10 out of 10. Let's go over to blog. Let's refresh this. Yep, that still says 10 out of 10. Now let's see why. Let's open up our terminal. Okay, so let's see. So I was able to find a problem. So here we have await edit comment.id. So here we change this over to it should be edited content. So let's save that. And then when we scroll down here and we go over to the edit, so this button that says cancel and save, for cancel, we can leave the on click is set is edited into false. But for the button, we're gonna take out this on click because what we're doing with that on click is basically canceling whatever we type in. So we want to leave it this way with type just being submit, and then up here type is going to be button, and we're just going to keep it at this. So lastly, what I also did was, if we look over here, I created a public folder. So typically it does come with a public folder, but I don't know what happened to mine. So I had to create a public folder, and then I put in this profile.webp. So this profile.webp, if we come over here, let's scroll up all the way up here, you can see that in source, so we have comment.user.give. This should be for source image, image source, it should be picture. So it should be source comment.user.picture. So if we don't have this picture, so remember in our user, when we console logged user, we had pictures undefined. So we want to use /profile/webp, and that profile/webp is within our public folder as it's profile.webp. So if we open this, you can see this is what it looks like. It's simply a placeholder you can get from like ChatGPT, for example. You just ask it to create a placeholder for you, or you can go on Google and find a placeholder. So you just go ahead and close out of this. And so now that we have that, let's go ahead and save this and then click over here. And if we come to Chrome, let's go ahead and refresh this. As you can see, our image is now a lot better because we have a placeholder there. Here we have comments is still 1. We have write a comment ... We have test 1 2 3. Great job on the post. So our user is still test 1 2 3. We have great job on the post, full stop. It was a great read, full stop, 10 out of 10 exclamation points. So now let's go ahead and edit that. So we're gonna hit the edit button, and we're gonna change this to let's say it was a great read, 10, let's say 5-star review, and click out of that, and then let's save that. There we go. So now we have 5-star review, and that's all this is. So we just created our blog post. So this is all we're doing. So now we can head out to the front right here to the hero page, to our home page, and we still have everything intact. So we're gonna stop here for today because this video is already longer than I wanted it to be. I know we said we'd probably end on part 3, but we have to make one more part in order to show the saved page. So right now, if you go on saved, it's just gonna say 404, this page cannot be found. So let's go back to our home page. So we're gonna have to do that, because if we have to do it on this one, it's gonna take a while. So let's go ahead and end here, and then in the next one, so we're going to create our save page, and then we're also going to clean up any code. So anything that looks wonky with the UI UX, we can go ahead and clean up the design in that regard with part 4. But with all that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm trying to get to 500 subscribers. So if you guys just wouldn't mind hitting that like, comment, and subscribe button, and it means so much to the channel. So, but with that said, one last time, don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.